So I remember the first time looking through some family photos, and I found these two pictures of my parents, what seemed to look like mugshots with different names. And I asked them about these pictures, and that was the first time I heard that my parents were guerrillas in El Salvador fighting for the people's freedom. They told me this story about how they were sent on this mission together, and that's when they fell in love. My parents were captured and tortured by the military dictatorship. My grandfather, he was a well-known surgeon, and through some of his connections, he was able to find my father and ask for his release. But my mother would have to stay behind, and my father was like, no way, I'm not leaving the love of my life behind. And so they finally released both of them, but had to leave the country. My father found out that his family was here in Los Angeles. We entered the country illegally, lived most of our lives undocumented, but it was here that my father was introduced to Nichiren Buddhism. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. My name is Arlen, and I live in Los Angeles, California, and I've been practicing Nichiren's Buddhism for 13 years. So I remember when my father started chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, and he would chant in the garage, and my family could hear him, and they thought he was crazy. And my grandma was like, he's worshiping the devil. You know, he joined a cult. Everybody was so worried about him. But nonetheless, my dad continued to chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Soon enough, we started to see this huge change in him. And eventually my mom started practicing Buddhism, and even my grandmother started practicing Buddhism. My parents started to really face a lot of this trauma from everything that they experienced in El Salvador. I remember asking my father if they felt like what they did in their country was the right thing to do. My father said, now that I know about this Buddhism, I know that there's a better way to fight back. It was always challenging to say I was a Buddhist. I was always feeling self-conscious. I just wanted to be a regular kid, just going to church like everybody else. And on top of that, I remember going to school and just feeling so embarrassed about being undocumented. And so it was just a time where, I was just hiding who I was. Basically, that's how I felt. I was valedictorian of my class. Everybody was asking me, what college are you going to go to? At that point, I had given up on the fact that I would go to college because I was still, dealing with the fact that I was undocumented. I couldn't apply for financial aid. So I remember coming home and telling my parents, I want to go to university. Both of them just said, you know what, don't worry. We just want you to focus on making every cause to be the best student ever, and we'll take care of the rest. And I was just so amazed by the type of conviction that my parents had. They were waking up at 4 in the morning and just chanting for hours. And it just hit me one night. They were chanting for me to find a way to go to college. Through my mom's job, she was working as a housekeeper for this family, and they really loved my mom and decided, that they were going to offer me a private scholarship. Full ride, tuition, books, everything paid for as long as I needed. And that was the first time that I saw tremendous actual proof of the power of this Buddhism. I went to college and found myself really taking a passion for education, and became a teacher working in probably one of the roughest neighborhoods in downtown LA. The kids used to pee on my door and throw tables and chairs and just call me names, and it was tough. I cried every day that I had to go to work. I wanted to give up on these kids, but because in Buddhism we truly believe that every single individual possesses this unlimited potential, that no matter what the atmosphere was like or how they were treating me, that somehow I had to be able to tap into their Buddhahood. My SGI family was supporting me all the way through, and I remember chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo every day before work, that I would somehow be able to see the potential that each one of these students had and possessed, and decided I'm going to home visit every single one of my students. There was one particular student that gave me such a hard time. He was one of the first homes that I visited, and I remember walking up to his apartment building and knocking on the door, and I walked into this apartment that was just completely empty. They had nothing. And all they had was some car tires lying around, and the mother rolled one of the tires and offered me a seat. At that point, I just realized, you know, the reality of my students, and I really chanted Nam-myoho Renge Kyo to manifest the wisdom to reach these students on some level. And yeah, then my teaching just took off. I started to create these innovative ways to teach math through videos, through real life experiences, and I also was able to develop a social justice math curriculum. I had a successful first year of teaching, and I found out that I would be laid off. I hit this huge obstacle, and that's when I decided that more than ever I was going to challenge my Buddhist practice, and I chanted Nam-myoho Renge Kyo every day more and more, and I gained this courage that I never thought I had.
Welcome to our March of Mourning. My name is Arlen, Vidal, and I am one of thousands of teachers that were terminated due to the school board's decision.
It was unbelievable. I never thought I would ever have the potential to do something like that. But, you know, through my Buddhist practice, I was able to tap into this unlimited power that I had, and really thinking about everything that my parents had fought for in their country. And I just felt like no matter what, I had to win. And the school board started to fear us, and finally we filed a lawsuit against the school district, and we won. And all the teachers at my school got their jobs back.
What does being Buddhist in America mean to you?
Wow, that's a good question. Being a Buddhist in America is just being me, and knowing that I have this unlimited potential, and just being Arlen is good enough.